Frankie, how are you, girl? And hello, three alphabet people. And I don't know who you are, but hello. All right, so let's get started. Today I want to talk about your personal space. Your personal space, guys. All right, why are you sitting next to me? Why are you sitting next to me? Okay, have you ever gone somewhere where there are plenty of seats, plenty of chairs, plenty of stools, whatever, plenty of park benches, and you're sitting there just enjoying, your time, or you're waiting in a waiting room or whatever, and someone who you don't know, who you are not traveling with, who you did not go to the doctor's office with, just someone you don't know, they come and they sit right next to you, right next to you. So my question is, why is it that people don't respect your personal space? I mean, granted, you don't own that park bench, you don't own that chair in the doctor's office, you don't, wherever you are. But why do people have a need to sit right next to you? Do they do it just to annoy you? Do they do it because they want to strike up a conversation? Do they do it? Um, I mean, I don't know. Are they trying to make friends? But when you have all this space, why do people want to? I'm sorry, I'm looking at what someone is saying. Oh boy, Blue is saying, Blue is saying, don't stand so close to me. No, but seriously though, why is it? Why is it that people just have to just be on you? They have to just be right on you. I mean, I, I don't get it. Um, and Minnesota is saying because they love you. Hey, Minnesota, I mean, I guess they can love you, but can you love me from afar? Can you love me from afar? Do you have to be just right up on me? But seriously, guys, people why do people do that? I mean, when a friend of mine heard what my topic was for the day, she sent me a text and she said, she was in the doctor's office this morning and two people came and sat right next to her. And she said there were seats all around. But I mean, do people do that to annoy you? Because this is another thing that bugs me. If I'm already sitting there and you decide to sit next to me and I'm just not feeling it and I get up, why do I have to get up? Like, why don't you get up? Why don't you move? Like, your actions are making me move. Now, true, no one's put a gun to my head, no one's put a knife to my throat, but you feel kind of claustrophobic that we're all sitting there, just sitting there, and you have all the space. So you get up and you move. Now, would people say that that's rude? Would people say that's just something that you just shouldn't do? I mean, again, I'm asking, why are you in my personal space? And Minnesota says, who cares? Should we care? I mean, is this, I mean, people are always saying, stay out of my business, stay in your own lane, mind your P's and Q's. Can it be stay out of my personal space? I mean, is it rude for me to get up and move? Is it rude for me to get up and say, you know, not say out loud, but by my actions, I am saying, I don't want to sit next to you. You are sitting too close to me. Is that rude of me? Hey, power girl. Is that rude of me? Is it rude of me to say that? Is it rude of me to, get up and move? Even if I abruptly did it, am I, giving you a message that you were sitting too close? And are you going to respond to that message? Are you going to get it, or are you going to get upset and say, "Oh, that girl did that lady didn't want to sit next to me"? But and that's just like when you're on an airplane and you have people who have to put their foot in between the chairs. They're sitting in the row behind you, and they have to put their foot right there. I mean, excuse me, personal space, personal space. I mean, are people just rude? Are they just not aware? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, come on. It just doesn't make any sense. Anthony says people are oblivious. But are they really, Anthony? Are they really? Or is it just the fact that, again, I just come down to that people just don't care because uh, that's the type of society that we're living in now, where people just don't care. I mean, it's not like it's a little kid runs in, they just hop up on the first chair they see or whatever. It might be next to you, and you kind of look, whatever. You hope their mother or father comes to get them because you don't want to sit next to that kid. But if you ever sit someplace and you're people watching, it's something that they do a lot. And this past week, I had the opportunity to do a lot of people watching. And I was watching, where people were sitting. I was watching, their body language and everything. And a lot of people sat. A lot of people sat very close to someone else when there was a lot of open seating, or, close enough to where you're kind of looking at them like, well, you're not real close, but there's a chair over there, or there's a bench over there. I mean, it's not like you go into a restaurant and you're sitting down, and you may get there when the restaurant opens, and the waiter may sit people in the general area because they want to fill one area, before they fill up another, however they do the seating. It's not like that. Is where you intentionally come and sit close. Now, people may be listening to this and say, um, you know, dang, solid. you know, um, Why you got to be like that? And why do you have to be like that? Why do they have to be like that? Is this a social need? Is it a mental thing where they just have to be around other people? If you got on a plane and if it were four people who got on that entire plane, you had the entire plane to yourself, entire jet to yourself, hundreds of seats. What's the chance that at least one person is going to want to sit next to you or very close to you when they have all this open seating? They can sit wherever they want. Some people may say the chances are slim because there's so many seats. But I don't think so. I think there's a higher probability that somebody will sit next to you. And the only reason why I say that again is because when you go into a doctor's office or when you go somewhere and you may be the only person there or one other patient person may be the only one there, and people have a need to sit right next to you. I've seen situations where it was raining or it was snowing and the weather was just really bad. And you come in and your coat's wet, your jacket's wet, whatever, and somebody wants to sit right next to you. And there's all this other seating. Why would I want someone to sit next to me and you're wet, you're dripping wet, or my clothes may be wet or whatever? Why do you do that? Why do you do that? I mean, it truly just, I mean, I'm asking a question that I really would like an answer to. Why do people do that? You know, um, well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but it truly just boggles my mind. Now, I know that some people do it because they're trying to annoy you. You may have done it when you were little, sitting close to your sister, sitting close to your brother, or vice versa. They're just doing it to annoy you, or you're doing it to annoy them, or that cousin that just got on your last nerve. Every time they came over, they just had to sit next to you. When there's all these other seats, they just have to sit next to you. I'm not talking about that. I'm mainly talking about strangers who feel that they have to sit or need to sit next to you when there are other seats that are open. No one has a coat there or a sweater. No one has luggage there. No one has a bag there, whatever, to save the seat. They chose the seat right next to you. I have even seen people who have had bags on a seat and there's other open seating. And people were like, is this seat open? And the person looks around like, yeah. And they move the bag or whatever's there, and the person sits down. And the person's looking at them like, seriously? And the other person just looks at them and smiles. Then you can almost count to 20 at the max. Okay, I'll give it a minute. And that person who moved their bag and was sitting there first will get up and move. And the other person will just look at them like, well, it's just something I personally don't get. It's something that, I saw um um this past week, because I was in a situation where I was doing a lot of people watching this past week, and it just, you know, it made me laugh. It made me shake my head, and I just started to wonder, why do people do that? You know, and again, Anthony is saying people are oblivious. But are they really? Are they really oblivious? Me, I think people are just rude. I think people are rude, and they don't care. You know, then on the other hand, can you say that um, people are doing it because maybe they want to talk to you? Maybe they want to strike up a conversation with you. Should you sit there long enough to give them that opportunity? Or it's maybe somebody's casing you. Maybe they want to see, you know, if you have something that they want and they can try to steal it. I mean, I don't know. You know, but you always have that. And Frankie also says that people are rude. You know, but you also have those people who, you know, and again, you know, I ask this: is it a mental thing? Is it where people just have a need to be next to other people? Is it a social thing? Are these people lonely? You know, are these people just willing to you know, sit next to you, and maybe you'll start the conversation? I don't know. And it's worse when you have people who's, and I'm not trying to be funny, but it's worse when you have people who sit next to you, and as one of my friends pointed out in her text today, they bring a little scent with them. That's even worse. But it is something that I would really just like to know. Why? Why do people have a need, or some people have a need to sit so close? I mean, would you all do that? Would you all, I mean, would most people go somewhere and, you know, you sit on a train, you know, get on a bus or whatever, and there's all these seats open, and you sit right next to the person. You sit right next to the person who's already there, and there's all these other open seats. Even if there's, you know, seats that are scattered around, there are more people there, whatever. But do most people go to empty row? Or do they say, and some people say, well, I want to sit at the front of the bus, or I want to sit, in that chair. I want to sit close to the receptionist. And the only seat available is that one that's next to you, as opposed to the one that's across the room. Okay, that's a valid point. But it still kind of makes people uncomfortable. It makes people, just a tad bit uncomfortable. Because everyone needs their personal space. And in that personal space, you have boundaries. And we've talked about boundaries before on this show. People do have boundaries. But if you put a bag in a chair next to you, are you telling people that this is your space? Go sit somewhere else? Because honestly, if I was in a room, only time I've asked someone to, if I could sit there, whatever, is if it was crowded and there's no more seating. Or if I saw someone come in and they're looking for seating, I'll move my bag. But just to have it there and just not move it, I think that's rude. But are people declaring uh uh what do I want to say? Are people declaring their personal space and their boundaries if they do put that bag there and you have all that other seating to choose from? Are they saying, this is my personal space for now? And should you respect that? I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, and some people just sit next to you and they don't say anything. They just sit there, just come, sit, and that's it. Minnesota says people don't know what boundaries are. I mean, is it rude to ask people, why are you sitting next to me? Ma'am, there's all this other seating, sir. There's all this other seating. Why are you sitting next to me? Is that rude? Or should you just get up and move? Should you be the one that gets up and you just move? I mean, it would be aggravating, but I would just get up and move. And I've gotten up and I've moved before. I'm pretty sure other people have too. But again, it's that personal space. People invade your personal space when you're standing in line at the ATM. They get a little bit too close behind you when you're trying to do your transaction. They invade your personal space when you're at the market and you're checking out and you're trying to put in your PIN number or whatever it is. Or even if you're not even doing that, say if you're paying cash, whatever. Some people are just right up on you. And I've had to turn around and tell people, can you back up some? And that's another reason why when I go to the market, I go, when I'm checking out, I go first and my cart goes second, because no one's going to push your cart out the way. When you're trying to put your food up on the conveyor belt, people will do the same thing. Unless you put that cart behind you, they'll start putting their stuff up there. When it's like people just don't, that personal space, those boundaries that people don't respect. And if you say something, then you are the rude one. It is you. Well, welcome, Charles. It is you. And is it rude to say something? Is it rude to tell people, can you back up? I've had to tell people to back up when I'm at the ATM. When I go to the ATM, I'm standing like it's COVID. I am standing that 6 feet away, maybe even more. Because when you're trying to do banking transactions or any personal transaction, it's nobody's business but yours. But some people are just just right up on you. They're just right up on you. And even when you're checking out at the market, there should still be a couple of feet between you and the person who's doing their transaction. People don't have to be right up on you, but people are. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why people just don't understand that, you know, again, I used the word or the words personal space. I mean, I don't know. But like I said, last week I was in a situation where I was able to observe a lot of things. I was in a situation where I was able to observe a lot of things and watch a lot of people. I was able to sit in places where I was waiting and I just observed a lot. And the people who violated other people's personal space and the people who just sat right next to somebody when there's all this other open seating, and they just sat there, didn't say anything. Another person kind of looking at them, and eventually the other person who was sitting there first, like I said, would get up and move. I watched a lady come and she had 2 children with her, and the bench was already crowded. And I'm just watching. I'm sitting someplace else, and I'm just watching. And this woman comes in, and she has her 2 kids sit, and the people kind of moved over a little bit because there's really no room for people to really go anywhere. And she's looking, and she looked like she said something to the people. The people looked at her, and they moved a little bit more. But there was no room for this woman to sit. This woman's trying to squeeze in, and then finally, somebody towards the end of the bench was like, "There's nowhere. We have no room." And the woman just, she had to stand, and you can see she didn't like it, but either you're going to let your children sit down, okay, fine, that's stand, or you go and you find someplace else where the 3 of you can sit. But you don't have everybody scrunch up and where everybody's on top of each other. I mean, I don't mind making space for people, but there should still be space for each person to have a little bit of space. But people don't, again, are people just, like Anthony said, are people just oblivious? Are they just oblivious to um your space? That's the only way I can see it. Frankie says, I get you solid. I mean, yes, Anthony, it was crazy. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of laughing, but at the same time, I'm shaking my head watching this. And the couple who initially had moved down, they were looking at this woman like, you're not going to be able to sit here. You're not. You're not going to be able to get in here and sit. But that's what people do. That's what people do. Oh, good Lord. So, hey, Blunt, welcome. So again, y'all, I just ask, why, I don't know, again, why people, why people do what they do when it comes to your personal space. Why is it that people just don't um, understand um, that people have boundaries? You know, I don't. I mean, I truly just don't get it. And like Anthony said, people are oblivious. One says, "This is my pet peeve." Like, go away. I mean, it is. And it's so funny because, and y'all, I know this is wrong, but the story I just told you about the mother who was trying to squeeze in on the seat, I videotaped it. I taped it because it was so funny to me. I mean, it was funny, but at the same time, I'm shaking my head like I know this woman is not going to try to sit down. And she was trying. She was trying. I mean, she was asking, scoot, 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 scoot. But if you have other people with you and there's no room, then y'all got to find someplace else to sit. Hey, Ellie. Or maybe you sit there and I'll go sit, across the hall or wherever. Everybody don't have to sit next to each other. No, Ellie, has been on for about 30 minutes. But I don't. I mean, I just, again, I say, last week I just did a lot of people watching, and I did a lot of head shaking because it was funny, and again, it was head shaking time because it was just to the point where people just don't respect your boundaries. I'm sitting here, I'm minding my own business. You have to come and sit next to me, and you have all this other seating. You could sit there, 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 there. I mean, just all this other seating, but somebody has to come and sit right next to you. Now, I can halfway understand if it's a guy or girl who sits right next to you and they're trying to pick you up or something, but at least they have a reason. Okay, fine. You have a reason. You're getting on my nerve. Okay, I got to get up and go now. Okay. But just to come sit and you don't say anything and you're just sitting there, that's kind of creepy. I mean, it is. I think I think it's that is kind of creepy. I think it's creepy that people are just going to come and sit next to you and they have all this other seating and they're not saying anything. It's like, Okay. I think I'll get up now. Yeah. Minnesota, but it is. It is, as she says it is. It is. That's creepy. Now, I'm going to ask you guys something. Honest opinion. Want to know what y'all think? Would it be different if an older person sat next to you, like somebody 70s, 80s, 90s, sat next to you, and there was all this other open seating as opposed to someone who was younger, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? Doesn't matter the age, but the age make a difference in your reaction. I say yes and no because at the same time, it's like, okay, do you need help or whatever? Or why are you sitting next to me? I mean, I still want to know why you're sitting next to me and it's all this other open seating. And like I said, you could be at the doctor's office and some people want to sit close to the receptionist. Okay, that's fine. But can we still keep at least one seat between us? Do you have to sit like right next to me? I mean, if I'm sitting close to the receptionist, can you sit like a couple of seats away from the receptionist? I mean, when it's time to call you, I'm pretty sure they'll yell loud enough for everyone to hear. But that's just me. You know, I could be wrong on that one. You know, I mean, it's oh boy. Does it matter the age? Does it matter if you're a certain age and people sit next to you? I mean, does it matter if you're older, younger? Does it does it matter? Minnesota says no. Should it matter? Should it matter? I mean, if someone needs help and assistance, wouldn't they just ask for help and assistance as opposed to just sitting next to you? Or am I thinking about this wrong? Anthony says yes and no. But to me, it's creepy when people just sit next to you and they have no reason to. I mean, did you want to talk to me about something, you know, or whatever? But just to come and sit next to me and you don't have a reason to. Personal space. Personal space. I have actually told people that. People who have gotten too close. Personal space. I've said it several times. I've said it at the market. I've said it at the ATM. And it really bugs me, especially when you're, you know, if you're at the ATM or you're at the bank or you're just doing something private and people have to be like right up on you. I don't get it. And I'm not even saying they're trying to look over your shoulder to see your PIN number or whatever. But if I'm at the market, I'm trying to check out and I am putting in my PIN number, whatever, you know, I don't need you right next to me. You know, and that's why I say when I go through the aisle at the market, I go first, my cart goes second. And I do that purposely. So people don't get so damn close. And that may seem rude, but sorry. But anyway, y'all, that's my that's what I have to say for today. Just personal space, boundaries, leave a couple of seats in between. I don't need you sitting next to me. I'm fine just sitting all by myself. And if you can't fit on the bench, find someplace else to sit. Okay. Everybody doesn't have to be squeezed in like sardines because you want to sit there when you have other choices. And sometimes if you don't have any place to sit, sometimes you have to stand. But even then, don't stand so close. You can go stand over there. There's another wall to hold up to lean on. You don't have to stand next to me. So, but anyway, on that note, I'm going to leave y'all with Aretha Franklin and RESPECT. Here we go. Well, that's it, everyone. And again, it's good to be back. Thank you guys for coming and listening. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you for coming. Bye.